Hi. Going to do a little divination for this new moon in Vedic and tropical Taurus. Taurus, the earth sign ruled by Venus, security, stability, self-worth, the oneness in all of nature. There's a stellium of planets there in the tropical chart, and to a lesser degree in the sidereal chart as well. But Uranus, Sun, Moon, North Node, Jupiter, the asteroid Vesta, representative of the Kundalini energy, and not least Mercury, information, expression, data. So usually on the new moon we do the Druidic pathway spread, and this is one that helps us to overcome the inertia of the past. It helps us develop a trajectory for at least the next 15 days. And just to say a quick thing about the new moons and full moons, new moon, we're more concerned with the energy after the event because it begins the new cycle. And full moon, we're more concerned with the energy as it builds to the event, right? So it's appropriate to do any observations of new moons after their actual exactitude, and anytime before the full moon is complete. And once again, the Druidic spread is an overall pathway spread. Tells us, kind of the limit and the purpose of the cycle that we're entering into. The effort to overcome the inertia of the past is the energy of a full moon. Some people say it's 15 days effective. I was always taught that it's the entire 28-day cycle. The first card of the Druidic pathway spread represents the past. And in this particular reading, the past is represented by Badger. Aggression. And it's interesting because in the tropical chart, I believe Mars is at the 29th degree in square to Taurus in Cancer. I believe it's in Cancer. Badger is the energy of aggression. Mars is the energy of aggression, right? Fire, knives, severance, war. This is the energy of the past in this Druidic spread. I love the thought of war as a thing of the past. I'm just going to say that 2 more times because it feels good to me. War as a thing of the past. War as a thing of the past. An artifact. A fossil. A relic. An energy that no longer lives. It's dead. Now, Badger itself is the medicine of roots and deep power buried under the ground. Pluto is also in square to this particular new moon. And I'm thinking of April Shaley and her consistent, for like a decade in my life, um, interest in showing us the power of the dark goddesses and the plutonic realm, right? I love thinking of plutocracy as a thing of the past. I'm going to say that 2 more times. Plutocracy is a thing of the past. Plutocracy is a thing of the past. Punishment, blame, vengeance. These are things that no evolved, mature society really needs. Sometimes things need to be sequestered and kept away from being able to do harm, and imprisoned, exiled, yes. But punished, that's not really our job, in my opinion. And punitive measures, anger, war, plutocracy, I'm glad that these are all things of the past. And for the time of this reading, we're going to pretend like that's the actual truth. Because it's my reading and I get to, right? I'm allowed to do that. Let's make sure we'll be able to see all these cards here. Whoops. And I just hit a dog with a notebook, so forgive the uproar. Sorry, everybody. You're being really good dogs. All right, so Badger is the energy of the past. The energy of the present is Squirrel, gathering energy. Squirrel hoards, and it's not problematic really in the natural world, except if you see and you witness the frenetic activity of these animals and their tendency to constantly be in motion. You know, never, or very seldom. I have seen some satiated and relaxed squirrels in life, but it was rare. You know, they're always moving and sometimes very playful. But the quality of the present of gathering can mean many things with Taurus as our guiding principle toward the inertia that we have to overcome, the stubbornness that can sometimes accompany the acquisition of objects and the hoarding of things, right? My feeling about the universe a lot of the time is that it's a DNA swarm, and that borders, prohibitions, restriction, and personal possession is kind of anathema to what's really happening here. What seems to want to occur to me is as many combinations as are possible. Take anything you can think of and rub it together, you know, with something else and make something new. The creative, generative movement of things. So there's a couple of different ways we could look at the present. We could look at it as a gathering, a hoarding, or we could look at it as critical mass, the actual confluence, the acquiring of as many DNA signatures as possible on planet Earth for new combination and recombination. In the dual realm, it's always possible to see things from either side. So whether it's hoarding or generative, the gathering card, the squirrel card, is the card of the present moment. And it's the number 26. 26 is the number of algal the fixed star, which is in Taurus. And Algol is generally seen to be a malevolent star. It's generals don't like to do anything warlike around times where this spot in the sky, this fixed point in the sky, is heavily aspected, because leaders have a tendency to get decapitated when Algol is in the picture. And I'm just wondering about the malevolent aspect, the hoarding aspect, and Algol being at 26 of Taurus. It's just an interesting number. So we have 29, we have Mars in the card of the past of aggression, and then we have 26 and we have Algol with that particular card. Very interesting, past and present. Now the future card, oh my goodness, thank God, is Frog. Frog is a card of a sign of cleansing, an amphibious card, a porous card, a movement card, right? Where we have this underground plutonic stuck energy, and then we're moving into a kind of gathering storm here in the present. In the future, we have this beautiful card of cleansing, this incredible creature that's neither from the land nor the sea. He or she is able to survive both polarities, both sides of the dualist spectrum, and is kind of a cheerful little creature about it. Insect eater, really helpful in regard to keeping environments clean, cleansing environments. Very positive to see Frog in the future. I'm thinking of a cool rain that washes things clean with this particular animal, number 38, in our future position. The lessons that are moving through in this lunar cycle, whether you choose to think of it as 15 days or 30, are female medicine. We keep getting this. The number 8, the lessons moving through are Otter. And Otter is this joyous feminine, the aspect of inward moving energy that is able to receive. Whenever I think masculine and feminine, masculine for me is outward moving energy, and feminine for me is inward moving energy. So this particular card comes as a wonderful omen of what lessons we need to take on now. Moving inward during a new moon is always a good idea. Looking within, trying to, as I said in the blog, really concretize a worldview for moving forward. And let that worldview be receptive, feminine, warm, joyous, and nurturing. Beautiful lessons moving through in this lunar cycle. Now, the past lessons, the ones that we have just finished with the end of the last lunar cycle, are Turtle. The lessons about Mother Earth and origins and the materialist understanding. This is a very Taurian card. It's about security, stability, and the sense of self-worth that comes from being aligned with the natural world. Because it's a 10 and reduces to 1, it makes me think about individual connection with the earth itself, the Gaian nature. And a lot of what is moving through this Taurus cycle is about our relationship to the earth. So, as a lesson of the past, that's the indigenous worldview. That is the idealist worldview. That is the foundation of life on planet Earth. And nature has her ways, and she will have her way. If we haven't learned that lesson at this point, just in my own neighborhood, we're having smoke from distant fires in Canada that have inundated us for days. We have terrible air quality, and it's not fire season yet. So the lessons that are in our past have a lot to do with how we treat the earth, how we treat other animals. And whether we listen to those lessons or not will definitely have an effect on our present joy and our future purification. So maybe a good time to go inward with that feminine energy and think a bit about relationship to earth and how important that is in our worldview going forward. That is representative of the lessons of the past. And so what's working for us in trying to move forward in a inward moving purification during this Taurus new moon? Beautiful boundaries. Armadillo is all about boundaries. If you pronounce that differently, I'm sorry, I'm kind of a Midwestern accent. Armadillo. Creature that can turn itself into a kind of impenetrable ball, very much like turtle. Turtle is its shell. Armadillo is its shell. It also, as a number 28, reduces to a 10, which is a 1. So let's think personal boundaries with this one. Learning how to make sure that people appreciate our kindnesses and don't exploit our vulnerabilities in our personal relationships. And if they do, they can be included in outside the circle of your boundary. Do you know how to draw boundaries? Boundaries will work for you in this coming lunar cycle. Your boundaries will work for you. That's what's working for us. What's working against us? Gentleness. It's interesting. Aggression being the sign of the past and what's working against us being our gentleness. I ask this question a lot. Why are we so polite? We are paying people to do certain jobs in leadership that they are not doing. They are doing the work that they should be doing for us, for corporations in a lot of cases. And if war is to be a thing of the past and plutocracy is to be a thing of the past and aggression is to be a thing of the past, can we be gentle and make those things happen? Is it possible to eradicate war nonviolently? That's a question that this particular reading seems to say no to, right? We can't keep paying people to create war. We can't keep paying people, it's pretty clear, to be aggressive against us as a population. We need leaders who represent us. We need people who will help us with this purification, this cleansing, these boundaries, and the protection of the earth and the gathering of its diversity. You know, if I separate out just the aggressive energy and look at all of the other energies of this particular reading, it basically says bring together your purification in inward movement with a mind toward the earth, maintaining personal boundaries. And since this card works against us, this card of gentleness, this card of the deer, this foundation card though, right? Because the deer is a number 4. We have to stand up for ourselves. And I've seen deer do that, to be frankly honest with you. I walk a lot of dogs, and when deer don't flee is when the dogs learn the lesson, right? Sometimes deer don't flee. Sometimes they stand their ground. And sometimes they just enjoy the view, relax into their lives, and let the energies roll over them. In this particular reading, however, we are cautioned against that because it's in the 7th card place, and that is the energy that's working against us. The bottom of the deck, also a 7, right? So 7th placement is the deer. The gentleness may be egoic. We may be deciding to maintain a gentle or a peaceful attitude because we want to be seen in a certain light. I like the skunk card a lot because there's a rhyme that goes with it in my head, which is, if your ego is not your amigo, you know it stinks. And that's really cheesy, but it reminds me that we have to befriend our fears when we have to face them. When we face what we're afraid of, there's the possibility of growth. There's the possibility of spiritual enrichment and nourishment and maturity. And maturity. It's very important that we become mature individuals at this particular stage of our evolution. And to be mature means that we're not the panty police, we're not doing anything that's trying to harm other people, but we're actively stopping aggression, becoming allies for people who can't protect themselves, including the earth, women, and helping vulnerable people maintain boundaries and purification of attitudes, purification of governance, purification of how we live our own lives, but not how others live theirs. I just remember a Montana that was very much live and let live, but the moment you needed somebody, your neighbors were there for you. It's odd to me that some aggression has come, some war has come that is changing the face of what has been a time-honored and very good idea in the last, 50, 60 years. I'm not saying or denying any of the past or the history of this place, but our communities could do with a little bit of live and let live. All right, beautiful reading for the new moon. I really feel like the bulk of these cards are incredibly positive. The aggression being in the past and the idea that gentleness, or in this particular context, it really looks like denial, will not help the earth, will not help diversity, will not help femininity, purity, or boundaries. So being firm in the I am, the consciousness that informs the entire earth, and our security and our stability and self-worth seems like the way to go for the next 15 to 30 days. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you read the blog post that I wrote connected to it, discussing the energies of this new moon in greater detail. Thank you as always.